During my time working on this project, I chose to work with the genre of supernatural horror, which is depicted by the products that I created. I firstly analysed 2 different websites for my planning. These 2 pieces were The Last Exorcism and The Devil Inside. One way I have used forms and conventions in my website is by using a navigation bar. This across film products is conventional for the simple fact that it allows the audience to sift through the basic proceedings and the progress with either the upcoming film or the published one. I placed red lines underneath each tab on the navigation bar to highlight to the audience which tab they were going to click on. I may have essentially used this and taken inspiration from the Last Exorcism's tabs. However, I only used 3 tab names, being Home, Videos, and Cast/Crew. However, the rest that have been placed on the website were all down to me. This is because I did not want my product to look similar to the products created before. Therefore, by changing an aspect of the navigation bar would allow me to start fully copying elements which other films had used. I have also used the convention of placing a billing block at the bottom of the page. This is conventional with any film. My billing block provides a scope of who's made the film, the special effects, costuming, and who's directed. It seems as useful to implement this convention because my trailer is a teaser that's coming soon. So in a sense, by implementing the billing block, I am drip feeding information to my potential audience so that they are more interested from the back logistics that have gone into the film. As you can see from my website, I have also used the convention of where you can view showtimes and book tickets. From looking at the El Diablo website, you can see that I've used this convention because generically across film institutions, they usually pair up with movie companies so that the movie tickets can be sold. This is a stereotypical convention in which I have chosen to use so that the website conforms to the generic look of how websites should look. It can be argued that I have developed the use of social networking sites on my website for the simple reason that on my website you can see that there have been people that have been tweeting about the film and how many people have generically liked the Facebook group made for El Diablo. This is a clear development of real media products I have analysed because this can be seen as a form of language that speaks to my audience because I am able to speak to a range of potential viewers through using different range of media. I have used the convention of having a review quote of what a prominent magazine has said. However, I have used the idea of having a review quotes to a smaller extent. One of the main reasons is that I did not want to give off too much information about what the trailer or the film entails. It can also be argued that I have developed the use of imagery on my website because in supernatural horror, it is conventional that there is a picture which shows the stage of disruption, but also conveys the narrative through the use of mise-en-scène, such as the cross. And the 2 media products in which I have analysed can attest to this factor. I decided to use the photo of the young girls on the floor with the cross hanging for the specific reason that it firstly looks more effective in the sense that the genre is more evident through the semantic element of using the cross. I also have exaggerated the image by enhancing contrast, brightness and some level so that the blood is more effective in terms of showing and emphasising the semantic element of possession. It is easy to tell through the use of semantic and syntactic elements that the genre points specifically towards the genre of supernatural horror. From looking at supernatural horror websites, I've come to the conclusion that usually there isn't a right or a wrong place as to where the title of the film goes. The genre itself is very unusual. Therefore, by me placing the title on the left-hand side of the wall can be classed as conventional because I have not planned to place it dead in the centre at the top of the page. This means that I'm conforming to the general overview of how unusual a website should look. The Last Exorcism is an example. The layout is very unusual and everything is everywhere and there isn't a designated layout in which it has to be in place. When looking at the product that I produced, it can be said that I have used the convention of placing the institution at the side of the page where it's in line with the website. My reason for using this convention is because even though the poster is a teaser, there is some information which infers who's producing it and distributing it. This gives scope and some stance to the film because quite a few films are represented by big institutions such as Lionsgate, who have done many successful blockbuster films before. Generically, in the production of my ancillary text such as the poster, it is a convention across all media products that they include institutions. You can also see that from the genre in which I am working in, it is heavily centered on the use of the cross to connote the genre of supernatural horror. The reason as to why I use this convention is because it is firstly a very effective way to implicitly show what the genre is going to entail. The use of this mise-en-scène means that the audience may recognize instantly what type of genre they'll be coming to watch and can therefore register thoughts and stereotypical conventions in which they expect to see, such as the use of the Bible in the trailer. It can also be said that I developed the idea of having a cross to shadow the genre because the development came when I decided to place lighting in such a way that produced a shadow of the cross. This was deliberate. This was deliberate to speak to my audience and almost show that the cross is just a pale reflection of what religion really is. You can also see that I've used the convention of having coming soon at the end of my trailer, just like I have done on the website and on my poster. My main reasons for using this coming soon is to, again, feed into the whole notion of teasing and enticing the audience, and also to make sure that my release date on all 3 products are consistent. This could more than well entice my target audience, which may greatly influence them to check the website and be more interactively involved with the process and the run-up to the publishing of the trailer. From looking at this supernatural genre, a lot of the titles have been heavily centered on the devil or exorcisms. With this in mind, I decided to use the convention of keeping the title in a similar nature to what previous films have called theirs before. Hence the reason why I named my film El Diablo. This is a convention which I used because I wanted to make sure that the audience recognized exactly what type of genre they were affiliating themselves with, and also by putting the title in Spanish so it could drum up some interest. By calling it El Diablo also means that I am keeping the genre within the title. When assessing supernatural horrors, their posters are mainly targeted to those who are of white descent. Conventionally, it is usually a white young female about 15 to 25 years of age who is affected by possession. I have greatly challenged the use of this convention because I have used a young black female between the age of 15 to 25 to play the victimized girl. This is challenging the conventional stereotype because in previous posters that have been released on behalf of the supernatural genre, there isn't usually a black girl and a black family dealing with the issue of possession. Examples of how there is a lack of ethnically coloured people used in film trailers can be mirrored in both The Last Exorcism and The Devil Inside. From looking at my trailer, one of the conventions that I happened to use was placing institutions at the start of the trailer. The reasons why I use this convention is because it is generically a common convention across trailers, and this enabled the trailer to kickstart with the audience knowing who produced and distributed the product. This surely is mandatory for the simple fact that trailers are also there to endorse the work of these film institutions. Another element in which I developed on my product is the use of blood on the shirt. From researching about storylines of people who are victimized in these films, is generically women or young girls who get victimized. And blood, in a way, is a semantic element which is used to portray the loss of innocence or damage at the time. The main reason for this is so that the image has a strong narrative behind it, and so that the image can clearly express the semantic element that there may potentially be a loss of innocence through the use of this blood. It can be said through my mise-en-scène that I have used the prop of the cross. In supernatural films, it is a convention to repeatedly use the semantic element, such as the cross. This element conventionally represents the theme of religion which runs throughout the whole trailer. And throughout the use of all my products, therefore, I had to implement the use of this prop, and this is exactly what I managed to do towards the end of the trailer, as it gives a few seconds with the crosses in full action. From looking at the supernatural genre as a whole, it can be said that there are reasonably a lot of cuts used in the making of the trailer. This is conventional for the fact that It's periodically meant to heighten the tension. I have decided to use the convention towards the middle of my trailer. As you can see, there are a lot of cuts after a second, and it gradually gets faster until the end. This is a convention I use to definitely heighten tension, but try and also mirror the sense of disequilibrium that was given off throughout the post on the website. I also wanted my trailer to follow the theory of equilibrium to disequilibrium by Todorov. This would help the audience notice the change in events rather than just starting at disequilibrium and walking towards the equilibrium. Another convention I have used is also the use of editing. In supernatural trailers, I have seen that there have been parts of the film whereby there are quick montage sequences that heighten the tension. I've managed to take a group of shots and place them together and make sure that the pace quickened as the trailer progressed. This was essential to use this because by working in supernatural genre, the element of mysticism has to be created. Therefore, by using cuts, it's helped me to create this element. I've also used the convention of having location shots in the trailer because it is conventional in supernatural horrors to be given the outside or surroundings of where the disruptions take place. And these places are always unusual places. For example, in The Last Exorcism, he uses a barn of some sort, and the devil inside uses an underground basement. It minor happens outside, where it was dark, therefore infers that something bad is going to happen. Some would infer that when you are outside, you are prone and bound to bad things happening, especially in the dark. In terms of mise-en-scène, when dressing the priest in my trailer, I decided to have him play a much more subtle role, where it is not exactly evident as to who he is and what role he plays. In terms of costuming, the priest has been placed in plain casual clothing, whereby he is only seen to be wearing a shirt and a blazer. This goes against the convention of the priest wearing traditional garments like they are usually depicted in supernatural genres and trailers. It can also be said that I've taken inspiration from The Last Exorcism because the priests in that trailer also go against the convention of wearing the usual clothing which priests wear. The reason for challenging this typical convention is that by not making the priest so blatant, it allows the element of mystery, because the audience will not necessarily be aware of how the character is relevant. From further research on the film, such as the possession in The Last Exorcism of Emily Rose, I've grown to notice that the use of the priests, pastors or rabbis is crucial, and their role of fixing the disruption is very evident through the costuming, and it seems as though the priest used in The Last Exorcism has been used to challenge the generic convention of placing the pastor in the typical garments they wear. I have also managed to use FX sounds because in supernatural horrors there are certain sounds that are used to emphasize parts of the film. For example, in The Last Exorcism, there is a bang used to emphasize the young girl running towards the camera and hitting it. This is a convention you would typically expect to enhance the scariest parts of the trailer. For example, in my trailer towards the end, when I have emphasized the train going by speeding the pace of the shot, and also using the crash metal sounds when the camera hits the floor. I have also developed flashback shots of Susan thinking about how good her past used to be. This is a convention which I have used to show the reflection that Susan was having. This convention has allowed me to highlight the underlying issue to Susan's possession. Hence the reason why you can see the phase between the younger looking child and Suzanne. Being able to utilize the non-diegetic sound helped me to emphasize the notion of reflection by placing the echo effect over the top of the original sound. This is a development from looking at supernatural horrors. They don't always give scope as to what caused the possession, however in El Diablo it is slightly hinted to. Throughout my trailer, I've developed the use of sound whereby I've had the thunder roll sound effect playing from the beginning right through to the end. I wanted there to be a sound which constantly ran throughout the whole of the trailer. From looking at the supernatural horror, in some parts of the trailer they use silence as a factor which creates mystery. However, I chose to develop the use of sound so that it was consistent throughout the whole trailer. You can also notice that in my trailer I have developed the convention of the church bells. This convention was developed by making sure the sound of the church bells starts at the time when disruption happens. This is mainly to heighten the narrative so that the audience is implicitly clear that they are watching a trailer that is a supernatural horror. From looking at supernatural horror sounds, sound plays a huge part in the portraying of the narrative, and by using church bells, it is confirming to the syntactic element of religion that runs throughout the trailer. I've also implemented the use of candles into my trailer. Not that this is a convention which I've used nor developed, but when looking back at history, the Puritan branch of Christianity were against the use of anything extravagant such as candles or pictures. Therefore, an educated audience may see the link between religion and the use of candles because, in essence, God is seen as the light, and this could more than well infer that. However, because Susan's in the middle of the circle shows that there is an element of corruption behind it all because her shirt and hands are blood-stained. This would then lead the potential viewer questioning and being more enticed to watching the film. I have, however, used the convention with the use of my mise-en-scène. As you can see at the very beginning of the trailer, Suzanne is in a straitjacket because this is meant to show that she has been sectioned to a hospital because she is a threat to herself and other people. Straitjackets are usually not used in hospitals anymore, so you can see through the devil inside that they are usually just placed under normal surveillance. Obviously, ways of restraint have developed since then. One major reason for challenging this convention is because many demonic possessions have been associated with many ancient day demons, and by using an older form of restraint may show that the ancient forms of dealing with possessions are being used. I have managed to challenge one of the major conventions when it comes to supernatural horrors, and this convention is the use of character. All the characters seen in the trailer are all black, apart from the priest. This here was done intentionally because from further research into the genre, I have found that many of the demonic supernatural horrors that are filmed are more highly associated with the white race more than it is the black race. This therefore leads me to the conclusion that I have challenged the generic stereotype and convention with the use of predominantly black people. It can be said that I have challenged the convention of using a voiceover telling the audience when films are coming out and telling the audience what it's called. Supernatural horror trailers usually use voiceovers to show when the film is going to be out. However, I have challenged this convention by not placing the voiceover over the trailer. This ensures that the audience is paying attention and looking forward to see when the film is out and what the film is going to be called.